Welcome to Emotionally Baked, where emotions and baking are the two most perfect ingredients. Hello, welcome back to Emotionally Baked. Today we are going to do another recipe and chit chat and talk, and whether that's through conversation and story time. Today is going to be a little bit more story time. So we are doing courage and cookies. Courage and cookies, here we go. Chocolate chip cookies specifically. And let's get started. Okay, so we are going to do a chocolate chip cookie recipe. Now, over the years, on the back of your chocolate chip cookie, like chocolate chip bags, perfect recipe, fabulous. However, I have kind of fiddled with different recipes that I've seen online over the years, and so I've kind of come up with this one. I've altered it with my using of applesauce and all the things. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what I do. And it's basically, if you look at a regular recipe, a typical one, it's basically the same, just a couple little tweaks. So I use 1 stick of butter and a half a cup of oil. So like sometimes it's 2 sticks of butter. So I kind of do that. I do those two as my my butter and my oil. I do a cup of sugar and a cup of brown sugar, and that's just a little bit more than the normal that you would see in a typical recipe. Instead of eggs, I use half a cup of applesauce. So the recipe that I've seen has like 2 eggs. I use a half a cup of applesauce. This really makes the cookies just super, I don't know, it's like soft, and they're chewy cookies. They never get stale. They're gone before they get stale on the counter. It has 2 teaspoons of vanilla, a teaspoon of baking powder, baking soda, and salt, and then 3 cups of flour. And the coolest thing about this recipe is that I'm literally just gonna put it all in my mixing bowl for my mixer. I'm literally just gonna dump all the ingredients in here and let the mixer do its job. So yeah, as we're talking, I will just be dumping all those ingredients in, and voila. All right, so courage. Sometimes I feel like I don't have courage to do things, to step out of my comfort zone, to be brave, to do the things. I specifically wanted to do this topic because there was one time, I can't say just one time, but it's because of this week. So hopefully I'm posting this on Wednesday, March 27th, I'm hoping. Is that what the day is? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. Or March 26th. I'm not sure. And so it'll be a day or 2 after my niece's birthday. So I have a little niece. She is 3 and the most adorable thing ever, and just love her to pieces. And I will tell you, so that was my 1 stick of butter and my half a cup of oil, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my half a cup of applesauce in here too. So I'm literally going to just put everything in here. I will sift my dry ingredients on top of this before I mix it in the mixer. So anyways, so I have told this story, and if it's on my social media. I've told this story before, so I don't think it's new to people that that they know that I was a surrogate for my niece. So I carried my niece. I was a gestational carrier for my niece. My amazing brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they were not able to have children naturally, and unfortunate, they lost several babies through miscarriage and IVFs that did not work, and so they, through the course of, maybe that's a story for another time, but through course of events, I offered to carry for them, to carry their daughter, and yeah. So that whole process of coming to the decision to carry my niece was wonderful. That whole process was, it was just all the things working out was great. But I want to talk about the courage factor of it. So my bowl is right here. I'm not just dumping applesauce into the nether. It's it's right there. I just didn't want to dump the applesauce out right in front of you. So yes. So it was so wonderful. It was so wonderful that I was able to be chosen. Everything worked out for me to do that and to carry, and so I'm not gonna lie, I was super nervous, and I do hold some, well, maybe it's a good time to talk about. I have there's a lot of medical anxiety that I hold. Whenever I go into a doctor's office, or whenever I did I still do go into a doctor's office, I'm putting my vanilla in. I get really nervous, and I often tell them if they're going to be measuring my blood pressure to either wait a minute, let me calm down, let me, and I don't know what it is about going into seeing doctors or medical professionals or anything like that, but it just gives me kind of, raises my heart rate, and I just get a little nervous about it. And so definitely going through figuring out if I was going to be able to carry my niece, to go through all the process of, the blood testing and psychological testing and all the things. It was very nerve-wracking. And, you think that you have courage to do things, and in moments of we're doing this now, suck it up, and we're doing it, you realize, or I did, I hope I'm courageous enough to do this, because I am super scared right now. I would be shaking and nervous and just just all the things. And that was just prior. That was just beforehand, before all of the before I was actually pregnant. So let's fast. So literally I will be honest, I did not fully grasp what it took to become a gestational carrier, and all the things, and every single step that you had to do, and to kind of just to go, because you're not only going through the IVF process, but you're going through how do I explain it? There's this testing process, obviously prior. I mean, they tested myself, they tested my husband, they blood tested both of us, not just, and then also, they gave us, we had to talk to a psychologist, and, talking about all the things. I had to personally go just myself and talk to someone, and there was just a lot of things that we had to do, me and my husband, I had to go in, and they had to, I guess, I don't know what it's called, but they had to do this thing where they had to push fluid into my fallopian tubes just to make sure that everything was okay, that there was nothing, into my uterus, into all the things, just to make sure that it was all healthy and working and all the things. And if you've never had that done before, you're just like, woo, what's going on, so having all those things, like lined up to do, and then you're finally told, like, okay, you get the green light. And as kind of like, you're naive to think, okay, the hard part, so not the hard part, but like, whew, we got through like step one, like, okay. And then doing all the next steps and the following steps. And like, well, now you have to take, like, I had to start taking medications. I don't remember the names of them. I know I had to go on birth control. I know I had to go on estrogen. I know I had to take a shot. All those things prior to getting inseminated with my niece. So, my niece had the embryo had already been, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law already had an embryo saved, and so I was just preparing my body to receive it. And so it was like a couple months prior that I was getting ready to receive the embryo. And I didn't, like, there's part of my brain that just wasn't, like, I guess, I don't know. And I know I took getting myself getting pregnant for granted. I have 3 children of my own, and I never before doing all the IVF process and the gestational carrier process, I never, like, in my brain, like, just never computed, like, how lucky I was to not have, like, how lucky I was. And so, yeah, it was definitely, definitely mind-blowing to, like, see and to experience the whole process, and to see how courageous my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were, because they had to go through so much. They had lost so much, but then they were putting all their trust in this process and me. And I will tell you, if that doesn't humble a person to that you are going to be entrusted with carrying a child, especially a family member's child, like, that was very humbling and very and it's scary, I will admit. Super scary. Okay, I'm just getting done putting 3 cups of flour in my sifter. So, getting up the courage to, there was a lot of moments where I was, not that I was doubting, I never doubted, for some reason, I never doubted that it wasn't going to work. Even though looking back on it, and there was, like, you read the percentages of, like, if there's an embryo that was frozen and they have to dethaw the embryo, and there's a certain chance that it might not be viable after the dethawing, and then there's still not a chance that the embryo will be accepted and into the myself, and all those percentages were, like, of course you learn. I learned out afterwards. And so I'm glad I didn't know beforehand, because I think I would have been less, I would have been more scared beforehand if I knew. I kind of was just going into it like, okay, well, we're putting faith that this is going to work, and it's going to work, and and so at the time that, and then they were saying, okay, well, you're all ready to go, and we think that, everything is good, and we're going to go ahead with the transferring process and all the things. I guess it just didn't, I wasn't so nervous about, it was a doctor. I was nervous. I guess I wasn't nervous about it not working as much as I was just nervous about the whole thing, just in general, because hospitals and doctors and all the things just really But put on top of that, y'all, this started happening. This whole process started happening right around the sea sickness of 2020. You know what I mean? The big letter C sickness. And yeah, boy, did that. This brown sugar does not seem very viable. Thank goodness I have another one. That one seemed a little iffy. Okay, so yes. So it was all going down when, and nobody was sure about what was, what this thing was, this big C situation. And yeah, it was scary. It was so scary to go into, oh my goodness, we're going to do IVF. And this is happening, and this is going on, and in the world, and wait, this was 2020. Oh no, I had her in oh goodness, I gotta do my math. 2022. I had her in 2022. This was 2021, so it was a year into it. It was a year into and so even then it was still it was still crazy even then. So yeah, to say the least, I really needed to get my courage up to do this, because I was petrified of everything. Petrified of, I didn't want to get sick. I didn't want it, because there was a thing, if I got the C sickness, they reserved the right to cancel the whole process, and because they weren't sure about what the implications were for that, and so I was so nervous and scared, and something was gonna go wrong, or something, it was gonna not work out, and with all the medical things, and just you just gotta push through and all the things. Oh, do I not have enough? I might not have enough baking powder, y'all. I think I have a new one. I hope. Let's see. Oh, well, I just dumped that all out. Well, let's hope and pray that I got enough in there. Yes, sometimes I do things by the seat of my pants. It should be okay. It looked about a teaspoon. I was eyeballing it. You trust me? Okay, so we're gonna take a break just a second. I have all of the ingredients beside me. All of my dry ingredients are in my sifter, and my oil, applesauce, butter, and vanilla are in the stand mixer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to sift everything into here using my stand mixer. That's gonna be really loud. So I won't show you all of that. So in the meantime, if I cut to music and you're just watching or you're just listening, that's what's happening. We're mixing stuff up. So hang on a sec. Now, I'm going to show this to you. Inside of my mixer, now if you're not watching and you're just listening, I am showing that inside my mixer is left some clumps of sugar. You can see that down in there. So I know that there's some sugar that's missing out of this because it's still in the sifter. So I might just take out the bigger clumps of sugar to make sure that I at least get the little ones, probably not, but the bigger clumps I will. And I usually put the sugar in the bowl and not in the sifter. Today, whoops. So yeah, because if you try to sift granulated sugar is fine, but when you try to sift brown sugar, because brown sugar is essentially just granulated sugar and molasses together, and it's that stickiness of that molasses in the sugar that will like make it clump. And that's how brown sugar, like when they say brown sugar packed, like that's why you can pack it, because it's sticky. So I'm just going to remove those out of my sifter and make sure they get in here. But next I'm going to be mixing this in my stand mixer, and it doesn't take very long, just to like not even a minute, and then I'll stir in some chocolate chips. So pause while we do that. Okay, so that literally mixed up in no time, and I'm just going to, you want to mix it till it's nice and smooth, and I'm just going to add chocolate chips to my heart's desire. I know the recipe. Oh, let's see what this says. It says it says 2 cups. Well, I like that recipe. 2 cups of chocolate chips. I don't know how much I put in. I just put in till I think it looks nice. And I don't have, okay, so somebody's asking me, what secret do you have to making your chocolate chip cookies so fluffy? I'll tell you what I do, but I don't know if it's a secret. So I think the applesauce is one. And you always got to eat a few, right? At least that's me. I have to eat a few. So I don't know if it's the applesauce in the recipe instead of eggs. That could be one. So maybe it's the applesauce. The next thing I would say is that I don't make the cookies too much, like what do I say? Okay. Oh, I know. I use this. I think this is what would be considered this. This looks more than 1 tablespoon, maybe 2. Let me see. So this is a tablespoon. Are they the same? No. So this is probably like either 1.5 or 2 tablespoons. This one, this little scooper. So I use that to make my cookies for the sheet. Now, this may be the secret to the recipe, but I don't know. It could be. It could be. But I got these pans. They've been with me for 24 years for a wedding present. You can see they're loved. And there was something about them I remember on the package, because as you can see, there's like a little lip here, and it said something about air, like these pans are just perfect because they cause the airflow and something like that. The brand says, what does it say? ROSCHCO, Roshco. I don't know, but it was just like a pan that lets air circulate, or like, so I don't know. That could be, my pan could be what it is. I have no idea. But, and I under bake. Since I didn't put any eggs in here, I have no problem under baking them to make them really doughy when they come out. So I only do them for about 8 minutes and then take them out. They will still bake on a pan. So if you're like wondering like why do my, I take them out of the oven, there's cookies still are baking on a hot sheet. They will still receive the warmth of the hot baking sheet. And so, yeah. So 8 minutes I think is good, because then it gets them the temperature, but it's still kind of keeping them baking as you take them out. And then, because I get lost in it. Like I'll be like, oh, where's my cooling rack? Where's this? Where's my spatula? And then it won't be so bad if they've been sitting on it for a bit, because I'm not totally baking them the full, what is it, usually 9-10 minutes. So yeah, so I'm doing them 8, and we're gonna put those in and I'll show you what they look like. But so we're gonna keep talking about courage and having courage in situations. So yeah, so I really felt like doing all this medical journey when I was becoming a gestational carrier for my niece was huge for my courage, and to build it and to get it, to get me to, to feel confident in the whole situation. It was a big deal, with all the medical things that we had to do and all of that, and the continuation of it. So just long story short, I was able to get pregnant. Yay, obviously she's here. So I was able to get pregnant, and and I still had to continue taking medication, taking shots. My husband was giving me shots for a while into the pregnancy to make sure everything was going to be okay. And be honest with you, and I didn't share a lot of the difficult parts because I shared on Instagram when I was pregnant, and I shared, what we were going through and all the things. But the difficult parts and the parts where you feel like, when I felt less courageous in what I was doing, people, oh, Heather, it's so great what you're doing, and it's so, all those things, and oh, thank you. But there was part of it that I didn't feel, I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel courageous. I didn't feel like I just felt so, I just couldn't, almost like you just couldn't do it at one point. There was, so let's see. I officially got the official news. I believe it was the day after my sister-in-law's birthday, or the day of her birthday. We found out, confirmed that I was pregnant. And so baby, she was born March 25th. She was due actually April 1st, but she came early. They did induce me because my blood pressure had gotten high. That again, I think it was a good thing, but I think I was nervous when I went to the doctor's office. But hey, I'm so glad that they took me early and was able to do that early. But the last couple months, or just even the last month, I remember feeling like all the courage that I had stored up to do everything, all the things that I was just like, I can, I think through any of my pregnancies, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And I believe this one was mentally and physically the most I had to, and I think my husband had to remind me of keeping that courage up, that we're going to do this, we're going to get through it. And I don't know if it was because of the IVF process, my age. I was 41 when I did it, when I had her. So yeah, so it definitely could be age and all the things and all of the factors put together. Felt like I, at some point, was, not that, the month of March, the month she was born, was really tough. I get pretty big when I'm pregnant, with all of the children, my children and my niece. I've gained probably around 50 pounds, whether that be weight and water. It's a mixture of the two. trust me when I say when my water breaks, my water breaks. Even the doctor was surprised at my water breaking. They had always told me, you have a lot of water in there. And I said, yep. And I sure did. I lost about 20, between like 10 and 20 pounds. I don't know how much. It was like maybe 13 from water weight, just from losing, just from the water breaking. It's insane. Like, and this has happened with all four now of the pregnancies that I've had. So yeah. But being bigger and, my age and the IVF and all the things. And then there was, stress on myself just to make sure that I'm hoping that, everything's going to go okay. Cause, labor and delivery is not always guaranteed that everything's going to go correctly, but you're just, everything you're just in. And I felt, especially in this situation, like this is somebody else's child, and I'm just trying to make sure that like it's my brain was just on overload of just trying to keeping up. And I can remember I broke down. I remember breaking down. It went from two areas. It went from, I was in the shower. Showered really helped. And I was in the shower and I was letting the water hit me. It's warm. It's wonderful. And I just felt like I might cry. I felt like I had lost all my courage. I felt like I had none left. And I was praying. I need to have this baby. I knew she needed to come in her time, when it was the right time. But I was feeling my whole body was just overcome with. I just almost felt like it was too much, and I didn't have the strength anymore. My body didn't feel strong anymore. My mind didn't feel strong anymore. I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel, and I remember getting out of the shower and going to the floor of my closet and just sitting. I put on a song, an inspirational song, and I just sat there with it. And I sat there and I listened and I cried. I cried. And just asking for courage. Sorry, I'm going to tear. I'm already tearing. But just asking for courage to get through it. To have this baby safely. To make sure she was healthy. Make sure I was healthy. And that this whole process would be for, it would be all for good, And there's times when you just feel like, and that was one of the times in my life that I felt like I truly did not have any courage anymore. Like I was just not, I did not believe in myself. I did not believe, that was probably one of the lowest I'd felt in that closet on that floor. It was a mixture of, I just was feeling overwhelmed with responsibility. I was feeling not only the weight of pregnancy, but I was feeling just the weight of expectation on my shoulders. I was feeling just expectation of others and of my, myself. Just, we put those things on ourselves. if you know, we put all these things on top of our shoulders to think that we have to. And this was definitely one of those moments where I was putting a lot of a lot of stress on myself. And yeah, I definitely don't share this story to say that that there's these grand things that we should do to be courageous or to have courage. No. I shared this story for the opposite reason, that I often, that I was doubting that I had courage, and that in certain situations it is shown to us that, oh my, we actually did. We actually did have courage, and what an amazing thing to realize. Like, didn't realize that that's, that was, I was going to be able to overcome that. And happy to say that it worked out and everything was good, and yay, and I was trying to think of other little stories to, to give anecdotes about like having courage and being able to, and I just watched this super cute video where this mom was helping her son have courage. He was little, I don't know, middle age, and it was, sent him in to order his own food at a place, and to collect his food. And I thought that was, so good, like giving our kids, the opportunities to become courageous and do things that they normally wouldn't do. And I guess that's what I'm hoping, like, my kids and those around me see, that, like, this surrogacy thing and this gestational care was something I didn't think I would have done. And it was definitely out of my comfort zone, and it was definitely a big thing. You don't have to go that big, kids. You don't have to go that big. But to show that, we might be scared of something, and we might, have trepidation about just the whole, whatever's going to go, happen. And to show that, like, you can have courage, and you can get through it. And yeah, because I'm currently right now trying to instill that courage with my kids, just whether it's to, take the next step and get their license, take the, making new friends, or trying a new sport, or doing that, giving them that little oomph of courage that you can, we can all do hard things, and you just gotta get out there and put yourself out there, and have faith and in the whole process, and just trust, and that it's all going, it might not all work out. I do want to make sure that my, my kids do understand that, stuff might not work out, but, the fact is that you tried, and that you were courageous, and you did it. You were brave. You stepped out of your comfort zone. Yeah. That's what I want to instill in them. So yeah. It was looking back on that time, and looking back right now, because hopefully this week that I'm posting this, this is when we are celebrating my niece's birthday, and it's just so crazy to look back on, and to just think about that time, and I love thinking about it with all the joys and all the happiness that it's brought. But I also just wanted to reflect on, there was some hardness to it, and there was there was lack of courage on my part. There was the nervousness. There was I don't know if it, I didn't know. And I'm just so glad that I don't know, there's parts of me that, will continually always say, I don't know how it all wrapped up so nicely and neatly. And, I am a faithful person, so I do believe that, that God was part of it. Most definitely. Big part of it. It's insane. It's crazy. It's insane to think about. So I'm gonna wait for these cookies to get done, and I will share them with you at the end. Okay, friends, there the cookies are. I haven't gotten them off yet. Ooh, look at that. And they're just so, they're so, oh, they're just so chewy. I love a chewy cookie. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure I take these off. I did make a big cookie too. Okay, anyways, but I'm gonna take these off, get them cool. And yeah, that's just your simple, basic chocolate chip cookie recipe. I hope that this video encourages you to do something courageous, encourages others to, encourages you to encourage others in your life to do something courageous. Like, just get out there and do something that, may make you feel uncomfortable, that makes you feel maybe uncomfortable or you're not sure, but you got this. And take a deep breath and just remember, whether the salt in your recipes comes from tears or a teaspoon, just remember, we baked it out. We'll see you next time.